CRN Digital Talk Radio and the original Talkback with yours truly, Chuck Wilder. I got Paul Stern at the network, and we're live across America on this radio station on a cable system and around the world at crntalk.com, iHeartRadio, Apple, Blueberry, Stitcher, all kinds of ways to get us. And if you're looking for us, you're apt to find us. Hey, tomorrow, Jeffrey Anderson, Executive Director of the 2017 Project, and his article, Walker's Smart Play on Immigration. Mark Baird, President of the Waters Right Group in Northern California, and he's going to be talking about California's water drought, the fruits of big government, and green fascism. And Dr. Kevin Coach Collins, author of America Island, Vietnam-era Marine, retired NYPD Honor Legion street cop, and looking at the latest from his blog, including Hillary's money problems will sink her. We'll see. Hey, right now, let's go to Jonathan W. Emord. He's an attorney who practices constitutional and administrative law before the federal courts and agencies. He has defeated the FDA in federal court a remarkable 8 times, and 7 of those times on First Amendment grounds. He is the author of the Amazon's bestseller, The Rise of Tyranny, Global Censorship of Health Information, his latest book, Restore the Republic. He is also the American Justice columnist for USA Today magazine, and he writes for newswithviews.com. Jonathan, welcome back to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Very well, Chuck. Thank you. I hope you're well also.
I am, and I'm telling you, boy, it's Hillary, wall to wall today. I mean, it's like in my 20-minute newscast today, I think I spent about 18, maybe 17 minutes on all the latest developments and gathering everything she's done. But, you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But there's also this whole thing about she's trying to, I guess the word would be remake herself. And if you look at all the news that's coming across, Jonathan, boy, I'd be trying to remake myself too. But you start out in this latest here at News with Views. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, you should be troubled by the fact that Hillary Clinton in each campaign has remade herself, and we'll talk about it. I guess keeps changing like a chameleon, huh?
Well, that's true. The present iteration of Hillary Clinton that she would like us to believe is that she's a populist, that she has an affinity for the middle class, that she is one of them or one of us, and that the years of amassing a fortune and changing her lifestyle since the days of her life as the First Lady to the Governor of Arkansas are things that we should not really remember. We shouldn't remember that they have made millions and millions of dollars since Bill Clinton left the White House. Instead, she wants us to think of her as essentially a soccer mom who drives around the country in a van, meets with the typical person and has coffee with them and understands their problems. That's quite distinct an image from, say, the way John F. Kennedy conducted himself when he ran for president and the way Ted Kennedy conducted himself when he ran for Senate. While we disagree with their ideologies, they never once shied away from the reality that they had become very, very wealthy indeed. And their ideology sprung from a sense of charity, a sort of a Catholic charity, if you will, based on their religious commitment. And their politics reflected liberalism. But Hillary Clinton wants us to perceive her as the champion of the middle class who will sack the rich, redistribute their income, and liberate the middle class by giving them benefits of one kind or another. And it has a tinny ring to it because she really isn't one of us. She isn't a part of the middle class. She is not a person who is typical on Main Street. She's more typical on Wall Street. And
do you think, Jonathan, that that she's might be trying to send a subliminal thought I really wasn't broke when I got out of the White House, and I've really got money coming out of my ears, but I'm gonna keep that, but I'm gonna take care of you. It's almost like we're going to give you food stamps, all right, but we're not going to cut your taxes. I mean, we got to make sure. You know what I'm saying? Does she think that she can get away with being Queen Hillary? Is that
well? There's enormous hypocrisy because her life is one of exploiting opportunities, unfortunately at public expense, but exploiting opportunities, and it is not a life of drudgery and difficulty in the slogging away in the marketplace and barely able to put food on the table and so on. So there's great hypocrisy when you are such a condescending chap that you think that you can go in and rub elbows with people whose lives have been vastly different, rather than respect their lives and preach a doctrine or an ideology that explains in detail why it is you think that the state ought to take from the rich and give to the poor, to play a Robin Hood role. That's different. Admit who you are. See, unfortunately for her, she is not admitting who she is in any respect. She won't take accountability for anything that is negative. So, in the present situation, go ahead.
Yeah, you say that she's comes across now like, oh, I totally understand the 9 to 5, the minimum wage, the common struggles, those in the service industry, fast food restaurants, convenience stores, grocery stores, shopping malls, hotels. I'm not a jet setter, but we know that here, so phony. Isn't it interesting that whenever Rubio announced that day she goes to a Chipotle's Mexican restaurant, nobody recognized her, and then to show you how she relates to these people in a restaurant, didn't even leave a tip, sitting there the whole time with her sunglasses on, and her apparently, I don't know if she was deleting emails or actually trying to send one, but it is so
she's had
phony.
A long public life, and her interests have not been ones dedicated to welfare reform. She in the way that she's presently presenting it, that is, to tax the rich into oblivion and redistribute it to the poor. Her husband was a moderate in Democratic circles. Her husband was not one who pursued these things, and her ideological agenda when in government has been one to favor a single-payer national socialist Medicare system, medical system, but she's not really who she says she is at any one point. Look at who she said she was when she ran for Senate in New York, and look who she said she was when she was First Lady. Look who she said she was when she was Secretary of State, and now look at who she said she is as a person running for president. And they're all different in respect to who she's attempting to characterize herself as being. But in the end, one thing is common and constant, and that is that she refuses to take accountability for her prior bad actions. She refuses to take accountability.
I want to mention a very good line here. I may hang this one up on my wall, but we know that a couple of days ago she actually flew coach. Like, look at me. They say she gave up her jet and her limousine and got in the Scooby-Doo thing. And you have in your column, Hillary is in fact preying upon what she perceives to be the ignorance of those who receive her. Boy, you hit it right on the head there, Jonathan.
Right. It's very humiliating and it's sort of like a person who is white in the 1950s South going into a black Baptist church and sitting down and trying to chew the fat with those around them to say, I'm just like you. I've been there. I know what you've been through.
From. Yeah.
This is hypocrisy. We should reject this. It would be one thing. It's honest to say, I am a liberal Democrat, if you are, and I believe in these principles. Yes, I'm filthy rich. Yes, I've made a fortune out of exploiting my life in public service. But in my view, those who are rich ought to have their money taken from them and given to the poor. And to show that I believe that, I'm going to have my taxes, my income, given away to the IRS so that I can help redistribute the income to the poor. But that's not what we have here. We have a person who, capitalizes on their
even if she
life.
said that, even if she said that, she'd say, "But by the way, I'm going to keep the money under the table, that I have that's coming in under the table."
They've made millions off of public life while they've bellyached about the poor. They've made millions. They aren't Robin Hood. They don't live in the forest. They don't take down Sir Richard the Lion-Hearted to take down the those who are pocketing all of the wealth of the nation. They don't do that. That's not what they're about. That's not their history. They rub elbows with these people. They acquire favors from these people. They get speaking engagements before these people that pay them $500,000. They get opportunities to hobnob and experience the good life with people in Hollywood and around the world. That's who they are. That's what they do. That's their day-to-day life. It isn't going to the diner and working as a waitress. So let's get off this business of I understand how you live and I'm like you, and see, my van is parked in the front. I didn't come in a helicopter. Come on now. Her shoes and her clothes are worth more than most people's annual income. So this is hypocrisy, and it's really arrogant to assume that the typical person regards her as like them. They certainly don't. So the whole thing is a fiasco. Her campaign is absurd.
Do you think?
And I hope people recognize
that. Do you think that? Because you say here. Let me find it here. Had it right there. Anyway, about the phony. The people should. Shouldn't we be disgusted with a phony? Do you think there's a big difference? Like whenever she's the governor's first lady and gets away with all of this stuff. I mean, man, it goes, the book is so thick on her. The cattle trade, that was, I think, one of the first. Then, the real estate, and then the Vince Foster. There were so many crooked things that she did as Bill Clinton's wife. And then, whenever she becomes the first lady, she has all the other scandals tied up to her. I mean, that's not enough to bring this lady down, Here they are. They're making her, their number one candidate to run on the Democratic side.
I think when it comes to running for president, particularly given the history of lies that we've received from the Obama administration, remember, most Americans do not trust President Obama. And most Americans don't trust Hillary Clinton either, by the polls. So there's a credibility gap that she has to
Can you do me a favor and hold that thought right there, because I want you to carry it out in its entirety. Got to take a break. Jonathan Emord, attorney and the author of Restore the Republic. His website is emord.com. And this story, Will the Real Hillary Clinton Please Stand Up? You can find the whole thing at newswithviews.com, newswithviews.com, and his website, emord.com. A little later on, we'll tell you how you can get a copy of that book, Restore the Republic. Jonathan W. Emord, E-M-O-R-D.
Did you know that with a bachelor's degree, on average, you can make almost twice as much over a lifetime than a person with just a high school diploma? Yes! According to the U.S. Census Bureau, you can make almost twice as much. Going back to college is now easier than ever. There are select online colleges that provide laptops to their students. In fact, there are thousands of college programs on your laptop. You can go to college anywhere and everywhere right from a laptop. Call My College Laptop and you can find hundreds of programs from accredited colleges and universities nationwide. Start a new career in law enforcement, business, information technology, healthcare, and hundreds of others. Call My College Laptop to find an online college that will provide you with a laptop. In no time at all, you can double your earning potential. Double your earning potential. Call now. 1-800-582-7531. That's 800-582-7531. 800-582-7531.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was the location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for two. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
For over 20 years, you've trusted Lumber Liquidators to make high-quality, beautiful flooring affordable for everyone. Delivering this value means you get the floor you want at the low price you deserve. So we've lowered prices even more. This week at beautifully distressed click strand bamboo. It's easy to install, and now it's $229. That's about half what you'll pay at other stores. Plus 200 styles of pre-finished hardwood from $169 and 12-month special financing. You trust our value. We value your trust. For quality hardwood, see the flooring experts today. Visit lumberliquidators.com to find a store near you.
Oh, CRN listeners, this is Michael Horn, inviting you to join me and my co-host, sommelier Nicole Nielsen from Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, as we present What's Cooking on Wine. Find out about the latest trends in wine, great food, spirits, and a whole lot more. It's What's Cooking on Wine, done live at 6 o'clock Monday nights at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Pasadena, California, and then the replays throughout the weekend right here on CRN. So if you love wine and you love great food, it's What's Cooking on Wine right here on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder with my guest attorney, Jonathan W. Emord, talking about his latest with the real Hillary Clinton's Please Stand Up. And just for the break, Jonathan mentioned that most people dislike Obama and Hillary. So I would say, well, does that mean it's a shoe-in for the Republican? But will it, Jonathan, continue? Take at it, sir.
Well, it's not a shoe-in by any means, but she has a credibility problem, and she's doing nothing to repair it. The credibility problem is from many angles. For example, the Benghazi situation. She has yet to explain why she didn't turn over all of her email correspondence to the Congress, and she's admitted to deleting most of her personal email, which was her public email. There's no adequate explanation for why she used her personal email to do public business. Now, these things may sound to be trifling, but they point to credibility problems because she's asking for a standard to be applied to herself that is not a standard that is applied to everybody else in government. She's asking to be exempt from the kind of scrutiny and accountability that is being applied routinely to her peers and to her underlings. So this is an interesting problem. It's an absence of willingness to account, and then it's complemented by the most recent revelations concerning the temporal coincidence, quote unquote, of the receipt of foreign funds from foreign entities to the Clinton Foundation at roughly coincidental with her receiving foreign dignitaries and so forth and doing the bidding of specific foreign parties that are from those same countries. Now, this isn't out yet.
Hey, Jonathan?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, and on all of that, do you think that this Iranian thing, that she should have shut down because it was her duty as Secretary of State, breaking the sanctions, going against the sanctions, but actually with her foundation contributing to building up Iran? I mean, this ought to be the downfall of this lady. all by itself, the Iranian connection.
There's some here's where it gets to the problem. All of this shows a lack of accountability, and it also shows a total lack of conscientious regard for the public trust. That's the big deal. The big deal is that if you were a conscientious Secretary of State, you would have made sure before you began work as Secretary of State that you ended the receipt of contributions to the Clinton Foundation by foreign entities. You would do that to avoid even an appearance of impropriety, even an appearance of influence peddling. But instead, they ratcheted up their campaign from the Clinton Foundation to solicit foreign funding and to involve themselves with issues of concern to those very entities that have interactions with the governments of those countries on issues that are the policies and interests of those governments. So we have a very complicated situation.
But Jonathan, but $29 million on this Iranian deal, that's just what was pledged. $29 million to the foundation, and that was way back when. Then we got just the shipments that are coming up, almost $2 million each shipment going in to their foundation. See, that's a lot of money to all of a sudden say, I think I'm going to start having scruples.
Well, that's right. I mean, even if
most of this is
they're playing both sides of the spectrum, aren't they? I mean, they are in a situation, again, I go back to this, regardless of whether we can prove a crime has taken place, regardless of whether the evidence ultimately establishes that she was involved in some sort of a unlawful foreign influence peddling type of operation, assume that she's not, assume the evidence doesn't rise to that level, it nevertheless establishes a profound lack of conscientious regard for the public trust when a person engages in enterprise with entities that have an interest, foreign entities that have an interest that is against American foreign policy or that will affect American foreign policy when you are Secretary of State. She made herself, in other words, the victim of conflict of interest by protecting her financial interest. Protecting her own personal financial interest.
Take the bottom of the, got to get into that bottom of the hour break, and not only Iran, but then we come to find out that there's the Russian connection, and it goes on and on and on, and I'm just wondering, this is ego? I don't know if that's the main thing or not. It's there's something wrong in Denmark. No, in Washington, D.C. Jonathan Emord, he is the author of Restore the Republic, his website, emord.com. And let me see if I can find it real quick before the music ends here, and I don't think I'm going to turn my page. Yes, it is also, he's on Twitter, Jonathan Emord. All right, and LinkedIn, we'll give you that one too a little later.
Welcome to Staples. How can I help you?
Hey, Staples guy. I need to promote my new business and do it on budget.
I can make that happen.
Can you print business cards?
Staples can print business cards, brochures, banners.
Pens?
Pens, magnets, luggage tags.
Calendars.
Calendars, sticky notes, lawn signs, and window decals.
What about foam fingers?
What color? Red, yellow, blue?
You had me at yellow.
Make on budget happen, make getting noticed happen. Staples, make more happen. Now at Staples, get 40% off large banners, posters, and lawn signs.
Offer valid on all large banners, posters, and lawn signs in store and online and 6/27/15. Discount applied before taxes. May not be combined with any other offer. See store staples.com/signs for details.
I'm Jay Farner with some great news on how you could save an average of $3,000 per year on your mortgage. Call Quicken Loans now at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. The HARP guidelines have changed. There's less paperwork and often no appraisal required. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN, or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Important terms and conditions apply. Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed law 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Have you ever considered adding a home security system but thought it would be too expensive? Here's the good news. There's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home, valuables, and your loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Here's even better news. Your new system, worth $850, is free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Get the peace of mind that comes with owning an ADT monitored system, plus a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Call now, 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
You asked for a raise and your boss said, I'll think about it. Don't be confrontational. Be conversational. Expert Laura Fredericks.
You can't close this ask. I mean, you cannot bring it to resolution unless you know what the person's thinking. So I always say to them, thank you for this. Is it the amount or is it the timing? And those are two very different ways to close this ask. Because if it's the amount, well, then we can go, the salary you asked for might be too high at this time. But if it's the timing, it could be you're just not in the cycle to get it, or the budgets haven't been complete. So they didn't say no to the amount. It's just you're not in the right cycle period.
Next ask, can you share your thoughts with me about why the amount is not feasible now?
When is the date we can revisit it? I always like to put a place marker in to come back, because they didn't say no, never. It's not going to happen. I want to find out when I can go back.
Laura Frederick's book is The Ask. That's Primetime Focus, brought to you by AARP. I'm Aileen Ellis.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1,800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder, with my guest, Jonathan E. Mord, attorney, practices constitutional, administrative law before federal courts and agencies, author of Restore the Republic. And before we go any further, Jonathan, where's the best place to get a copy of that book?
Amazon.com.
All right. That's the discount price. Yeah. Amazon.com, Restore the Republic. He's also with the American Justice Columnist USA Today magazine. And I was noticing that Robert Scott Bell and you guys do the Jonathan E. Mord Sacred Fire of Liberty. That's a 1-hour radio program, right?
Yes, that's right. It's on actually today at 7 p.m.
All right, 7 p.m. Eastern Time?
Yes, sir.
And the best way for...
GCN.com, I think is what it's on. I'm not actually sure. Okay. Maybe you know better than I do.
They're going to have to hire them a... They're going to have to hire them a PR man, John. But also they can join you. Just for the break there, I was LinkedIn. They can go to emordfda/FTC Law Group and get on LinkedIn with you. And, of course, follow him on Twitter at Jonathan E. Mord. All right. Now, getting back to Hillary and trying to rewrite herself, I guess, and she's going to have to hypnotize a lot of people, or, as they say, they're going to vote for her because she's a woman. And I mean, I know so many people that are going strictly that way. They'll go out and do interviews with people. No, I didn't hear about that. Didn't hear about that. But no, I like her. She's, her husband was great. And boy, the first woman. I'm going to vote for the first woman. Put it. All right. Unfortunately,
well, there are people who are just that shallow, who don't look at the content of one's character, but to the color of one's skin or the gender of the person. Martin Luther King, I think, would be appalled were you to say, I'm voting for someone simply because they're female, simply because they're white, simply because they're black. There was a time, and he was one of the most artful advocates of this view, that we battled for the right to have us judged based on who we really are. The problem with Hillary is we don't know who she really is, because she so assiduously works at creating an image of herself that is not herself that it's hard to tell who she is. She changes constantly. One of the things about her, though, that's another downfall for her is that she is so wooden and so inarticulate and so lacking in depth of ideology or foundation for her opinions that she's a ready subject to destroy in a debate when someone has the ability and artfulness necessary to do that, and the intelligence. She really is not a good public speaker.
Yeah, and the thing that I've seen that I think could be her super-duper fall is all these videotapes I've seen of her whenever she loses her temper.
Yes.
It's that ego kicks in. And the famous saying, of course, what difference does it make?
Right.
And then all these Secret Service agents that worked with them whenever they were, when she was First Lady, and all the things she did, the words that they described, they had their word for the Secret Service agents, and that word was pigs. And Chelsea, I guess when she was a young girl, was the first one to reveal that. Said, I'm not supposed to mention that. My mom and dad say don't mention that whenever somebody's around, but that's, she said, here come the pigs. And, not very nice. And the way she treats the military, and it goes on and on. But you have an interesting point here where you're talking about split screen. After you go ahead and make whatever you're going to say, and then talk about the split screen images you can see about the opponents using. Go ahead.
Well, your point is a good one about her tendency to go into a rage. She's very temperamental. And, that's the mark of a lack of sophistication. Frustration rather than cool-headedness in the midst of a crisis is not the kind of thing that we want when a president of the United States. You don't want someone who flies off the handle. You want someone who operates on an even keel and who is cerebral and also conscientious and has a deep appreciation for this country and a great respect for the Constitution, for their role as president in a constitutional system. She's all about power. She's all about amassing for herself power and wealth. That's not what we need in the White House. The split screen idea is a good one, and I think we'll see that in ads against her in the general election if she makes it to that point. She has contradicted herself with such regularity over the years that it's a nice opportunity to ask that question: who's the real Hillary Clinton? Is it the Hillary Clinton who's saying X on the left side of your screen, or is it the Hillary Clinton who's saying Y on the right side of your screen? She is willing to take whatever public position she needs to in order to avoid attack from her key constituent groups, and that has caused her to, rather than be steeped in an ideology that you could readily identify and say, okay, well, yes, here are the following 15 issues. We know how Hillary Clinton comes down on those issues and why, more importantly, why she stands for each of them. You can't do that. Not only that, her campaign is not an issues-based campaign. Why would you run for president if you don't want a campaign on issues? Well, there's only one reason. It's all about you. Mm-hmm. You want power, you want wealth, you want influence. That's why you're running. That's why she's running. That's not who we want to run for president of the United States. We want a selfless person to run for president of the United States. We want a person who loves this country more than themselves to run for president of the United States. That's Absolutely. The opposite of Hillary Clinton.
Already I'm seeing they keep running a video. For some reason, I'm getting it constantly on email about where she says, I'm the most transparent person you're ever going to meet.
Getting rid of hundreds of thousands of pieces of correspondence, not turning over anything to the Congress of the United States, not accounting for your actions, not accepting questions. Responsibility. The Benghazi thing is quite extraordinary because she was being pummeled with information from the mission on the need for security, and she ignored that information. Yep. And that is an action so derelict and so profoundly distressing from a person in her position that it impugns fundamentally her character as a person capable of leading and directing a large organization like the State Department. And more importantly, it shows a callous disregard for human life. What kind of a person are we really dealing with Hillary Clinton? She's never answered for
another
issues.
Another thing on Benghazi, and it just shows you how Republicans, conservatives don't run with what they could like the liberals do, is if you compare what happened with Obama and Benghazi with Nixon and Watergate, same thing. Nixon worried about he's going to lose the election if they find out about Watergate. Obama is worried about if the truth comes out on Benghazi, he's going to lose the 2012 election, I guess it was. And so then they start lying and making up this videotape stuff. And
right.
But see, it should have been the same thing, maybe worse. In fact, nobody got killed with Watergate, so they keep saying. It might be worse, Benghazi, but they still got away with it. And she has gotten away with so much stuff. The one that really irks me, just out of the many, actually, but that a lot of people don't know her dealings with the White House Travel Office. Would you tell them about that one, please?
Well, the White House Travel Office was staffed with career people who had been there, many of them all the way back to the Kennedy administration. And they were well respected, and they were efficient, and they performed their job well of ensuring that the President, the Vice President, the staffs of the President, Vice President, First Lady, and so on, were transported about the country and the world when they needed to be. And the office was not perfect in its record-keeping. It was more casual. But these were honest people. Nevertheless, they didn't have the books to prove in detail their honesty. Rather than ask them to leave, which she could have done, and the President could have done, they instead had the FBI investigate them to determine whether or not they could bring them up on charges of embezzlement. And the FBI said, no, we don't have any evidence of embezzlement, but they charged them with embezzlement. The Clintons charged them with embezzlement anyway. They had to defend themselves with their own money, which was not great. Their pay was not extraordinary at the travel office. And they bankrupted themselves in proving themselves innocent of the charge that they had embezzled money from the travel office. In the meantime, by putting them in that position and then causing them to be fired and eliminated from public service under false defamatory charges, they brought in their cronies from Hollywood to staff the travel office. Yeah. That was the plan all along. So rather than do what I would dislike but would be honest and tell these people, hi, we're the Clintons. We don't want to keep things in the travel office the way we've had them operating since the Kennedy administration. We want to bring in our Hollywood chums instead. So here's your pink slip. Thank you for your service. And we're bringing in our friends. Rather than do that, they went behind the scenes and tried to find a basis to impugn their character and came up with these bogus charges and attacked their credibility publicly and went after them. Now, that's rotten. That shows a side of humanity that is very disgusting. And that's who these people are. That's what we know a person by their actions. If you look at their actions, it's very unbecoming. And it's, in this instance, I think, disgusting.
Yeah. Jonathan, a couple of days ago I got an email, I think it was, and it was labeled Jennifer Flowers, Cattle Futures, the White House Travel Office, the Rose Law Firm Files, the Lincoln Bedroom, Monica Lewinsky, and it says that they're very predictable for Bill and Hillary. It is the Clinton political operation, the 3 Ds. Deny. The questions are dodged. The evidence goes missing and the stone wall is built. The second D, deflate. The blame is shifted, usually to the Republicans and the media. And the third, demean. People who question or criticize the Clintons get tarred as a right-wing extremist, hacks, nuts, or sluts. Boy, that's pretty good, isn't it? That wraps it up there.
Well, it does. I would like Hillary Clinton to tell us in detail the foundations of her view of the Constitution, of rights theory, of the role of government, of the role of a welfare society, of progressive income tax, of foreign policy, how she would differ in detail with her foreign policy from the Obama administration's. Why, if she differs in any respect, didn't she make that clear as she served as Secretary of State? Why did she serve as Secretary of State if she disagreed with the foreign policy and not resign? You know, there are many, 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 many detailed, substantive questions to ask her that the media simply will not ask her, and that the public has a right to know before they vote for someone like this to be President of the United States.
Well, in this article, you've got those questions, and I suggest, you know how whenever they get down to the debate and you can submit questions, and I don't know how many of them actually make it to the moderator or whatever, but you have these questions, and I'm going to repeat some of them you did, but Jonathan says this is what, you should ask her. Is there any limit to the power she thinks she can wield as the president? Does she agree with Obama's reliance on his pen and phone as an alternative to compliance with the constitutional separation of powers? Is there anything that Obama has done as president that she regards as unconstitutional? Boy, wouldn't that be a great debate question. Is there anything Obama has done with foreign policy with which she disagrees fundamentally? Here's one. Does she think that compelling every American who does not have health insurance should buy it at a constitutional power of the government? And is there any constitutional limit on what government may demand that we do with our own resources to serve a public interest defined by those in power? And right now, Jonathan says, the media has thus far treated Hillary with kid gloves. Boy, those are some great questions, and I'm telling you, I would really like to know that one. Is there anything that Obama has done as president that she regards as unconstitutional? That could be her downfall, huh?
Well, if we have ears that hear and minds that evaluate things with logic, we should understand that questions like that and the answers she gives to them are ones that really should inform us as to whether we should vote for her. Of course, you and I have come to a conclusion based on her performance. But for those who endorse her, they're endorsing her based on ignorance of who she really is, because she's engaged in this perpetual remake program. Well, let's find out what she really believes.
Hold it right there, and yep. All right. We'll get to the final thoughts here from Jonathan Emord when we return. It's emord.com, EMORD.com. This article at newswithviews.com. Be right back.
Start out with some of my songs that go back to my very first recording.
The Showroom at South Point presents Crystal Gale. April 24th through the 26th. Tickets available now. In person at the South Point box office, online at southpointcasino.com, or charge by phone 702-797-8055. Don't miss Crystal Gale at the South Point.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808. Have you ever considered adding a home security system but thought it would be too expensive? Here's the good news. There's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home, valuables, and your loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Here's even better news. Your new system, worth $850, is free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Get the peace of mind that comes with owning an ADT monitored system, plus a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Call now, 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms. Here on CRN, we'd like to keep you updated on what's happening in wine throughout the state of California. Napa, Sonoma, the Pacific Coast has great regions like the Central Coast area, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, Temecula. Join our very own Larry Van Alst as he takes a look at what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report. It comes your way Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. right here on CRN. Winemakers, superstars, wine growers, and more. With Larry Van Alst, what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN and Chuck Wilder here with my guest, Jonathan E. Mord, attorney, author, Restore the Republic, also does a weekly Jonathan E. Mord Sacred Fire of Liberty with the Robert Scott Bell Show, and guess what? Let me give it here right here. It is radio.naturalnews.com. All right, you can find out all about it, radio.naturalnews.com. And you say it's on today or tonight?
Yes, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's on.
All right. So if this show's not repeated on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, we're talking about tonight, Thursday. But you never know because we repeat the good ones. And this is a good one. Of course, every time you're here, it's a good one. You know, it's no matter. You know, they could be running a pit bull right now, and the mainstream media would be all behind the pit bull. It's time to have a pet as the first president. That's the way they are. And you think back to Obama and the stuff we talked about with Jeremiah Wright, what's his name, Ayers. You know, and was he really born in Kenya? You know what I'm saying? And the rules of radicals, Saul Alinsky, and the books he wrote that told you what he thought about and what he told you. You know, electricity's going to go through the roof. He told you that, and he said he was going to transform America. But even with the power, you know, of conservative talk radio, Fox News, Obama still got in. You know, they liked him. And this one here, she has got more, I guess you could say, in my opinion, bad luggage than even Obama. A lot more bad luggage.
Well, she has a very ugly past in so many respects, and unfortunately, if she had grace under pressure, if she was affable, she had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
If she was colorful in many respects, people who with a bad past, like Huey Long, can lead a lot of people to vote for him if they're colorful, if they're enthusiastic, and if they take strident positions courageously. She has none of that. She is not a good politician. She's a really mediocre politician. She is so very careful in how she positions herself, and she's controlled in everything. And this is not who she is. She's not comfortable with who she is, and we certainly wouldn't be comfortable knowing who she really is, because she's not a very good person. Not a nice person.
Yeah, when she was at the White House, there were people that talked about you were instructed, don't look at her directly. Okay, don't act like you're trying to stare her down. Look at her directly. If she wants to acknowledge you, she'll acknowledge you. And it's they had a TV show that was showing in the airport. Marco Rubio, they caught him, asked him a couple of questions. The same film crews. Here comes Hillary. Nothing, nada. She's not going to talk to them. It's too bad. Well, I'll tell you what. I love your article, Jonathan E. Mord. Will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up? Thank you, sir, and appreciate each and every visit, of course.
Yes, Chuck. Good to be with you.
All right. Take care, sir. Jonathan E. Mord. Restore the Republic. Amazon.com. News with Views. Read it. Will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up? Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Walker, his smart play on immigration with Jeffrey Anderson, Director 2017 Project. Mark Baird, President of Waters Right Group, Northern California. California's drought, it is the fruits of big government and green fascism. And Dr. Kevin Coach Collins, we got more to talk about Hillary. Thank you, Paul Stern. Thank you for listening. Please remember, absolutely no candidates were injured during the production of this program.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. And you can listen to us on nearly any platform and device. Download to your iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry episodes of What's Cookin'. And take Master Sommelier Michael Jordan with you to the wine shop so he can help you pick out that perfect bottle of wine. Stream episodes of the Sonoma Wine Report through our CRN app, TuneIn Radio, Nobex, Stitcher, UTunes, or AHA Radio, and start planning that unforgettable weekend in the wine country. They're in your corner on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and many other apps. And of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. For more information on where to listen to these great shows, along with many others, log on to crntalk.com and create your own listening experience today.
The radio channels. The radio channels. CRN.
Welcome to Healthline Live, brought to you every day at this same time, Monday through Friday. Your host is Dr. Bob Marshall, Ph.D., a clinical nutritionist for over 35 years. He's successfully helped more than 50,000 people. That's why he's known for nutrition that really works. And he's here today to share nutritional secrets which have taken years to discover and which he's implemented on his own health journey. The supplements that Dr. Marshall recommends are almost all live source, free of questionable encapsulating agents, and have been created using the highest manufacturing standards available for dietary supplements. Dr. Marshall's comments have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. On each and every show, Dr. Marshall listens to your health and nutrition questions and provides education for your continued good health. And now, here's Dr. Marshall.
Welcome to Healthline Live. We're here to answer your nutrition and health-related questions. You can call us toll-free, 888-588-7576. And, of course, you can visit us online at qnlabs.com. Prior broadcasts are out there, all of our radio listening times, and be sure and join us for our Saturday 1-hour blockbuster show, usually in the mornings. So be sure and tell a friend, qnlabs.com, and don't be bad.